Hey guys, it's Vandiezo back again with another Card Fight Vanguard deck profile. So if you guys enjoy, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and donate to the Patreon. And let's get this started. So today's deck is my Angel Feather, Malkuth-Melekh. So I build my deck a lot differently in terms of everything, I guess. I think grade 1 wise. Grade 1 and grade 3 wise are my closest, but my grade 2 lineup is a lot effing different than everyone else's build. Like, take this, compare it to anyone else's, and I promise you, there will be a lot of differences, especially in the grade 2 lineup. But I build my deck the way I want to. It's the way I like to play, and my personal opinion, it adds more fun to the Arcade or Malkuth-Melekh thing. If I remember to say why later, I will, but let's go ahead and get this started. So first up, the starter is Aidroid Resh. So basically the 6k base, 10k shield. When rolled upon, you get to draw a card and get a quick shield. So if your opponent's Vanguard's a grade 1 or greater. So that's really helpful. It's also an Aidroid, which fits the theme of the deck. And that draw can always help you. And the quick shield can always help you. For my personal thing, I just have to say this. The one time I got to test this deck out, it was only one time. But I never saw the grade 3 I needed up until the very end where I had to G-assist for it. But I did win the game. It's just that I didn't get to see it. But that has nothing to do with the lineup, I promise you. Because no matter what was in the lineup, it's not like it would have made the difference, considering the cards that people would switch out weren't in my hand in the first place. So it's not like it would matter. And I just didn't get lucky enough to draw into it. But in the end, I did draw it, and then I did win because random bullshit, and I knew what I was doing, more or less. So let's get this started. So we got 4 draw PGs. Who doesn't like draw PGs? I personally feel like there needs to be draw PGs. The draw helps you get stuff in hand. The PG factor helps you throw stuff away so that you can call them back later with Arcade or Malkuth-Melekh and use its skill to constantly recycle. So I think that's mainly the reason why I run this. Otherwise, you can do whatever you want with this. So 4 draw PG. And then I run 8 crit, because why not? And then we got the 4 heal, Sunny Smile Angel. And that's pretty much it for triggers. So on to grade 1s. This one, I've seen some people use it, some people not use it. Aidroid Lamido. First off, I like his art. Second off, his skill just fits me. And third off, he's an Aidroid, which is mostly why he's in here. So 8k base, 10k shield, continuous Vanguard or Rearguard. During your turn, if a new card is put into your opponent's damage zone during this turn, this unit gets plus 5k power till... Nope, just gets plus 5k power in general. So that's a good thing. It's a 13k booster or 13k attacker, which means it can hit force numbers too. So that's really helpful. And then auto rearguard circle. When it boosts, if you have a soul with the grade 3 in it, counterblast 1 and your opponent cannot call sentinels from hand until end of the battle. And at the end of the battle, retire this unit. So that's helpful. It locks down sentinels if it boosts, and it retires itself, so it opens up circles for later. And when you use Malkuth-Melekh next turn, you can constantly call it back to the board. So that's a really helpful card. So 3 copies. But the only reason why he is at 3 is because he counterblast. And if you have a dry spell of heals, like I said, this deck is very different from everyone else's. So if you have a dry spout of heals and I believe one other card, the chances of you having open counterblast are going to be very low. So I do suggest that you be very careful when you use Lamada, or at least in my personal opinion, be careful. Anyways, on to the other grade ones. 4 copies of Secto Angel, 8k base, 10k shield, continuous rearguard circle. If you have a protect marker in the same column as this unit cannot be chosen by effects by the opponent. It can intercept and can intercept from the back row. So that's really helpful. This deck can spam protect markers. Okay, spam is a strong word. It gets 2 protect markers a turn, more or less. So just getting to put them anywhere, and you can even put this on this so it can intercept from the back row. It's extremely helpful. It always counts towards extra shield unless your opponent can somehow nuke everything or attack them all at once, because you can't nuke this. So unless you can attack them all at once or chaos them to death by blocking over from hand, which you can't do in standard, thankfully, or at least not yet in standard, I hope, ever. But still really helpful, gets the extra shield, and it can be used to clear up the board later. Like I said, you want to clear up your board and just spam Malkuth-Melekh's ability with a lot of on places. So 4 copies. Next up, 4 copies of Persistence Angel. 8k base, 10k shield. Act rearguard circle once per turn. Soul Blast 1 and draw a card. Discard a card from hand and put up to 1 Malkuth-Melekh in your drop zone and to the top of your deck. So this is also why you want to roll the draw PG. You want to use the draw PG because most people discard grade 3s for draw PGs anyways. So you put the Malkuth Aider into drop, you call this boy next turn, use the skill to Soul Blast, put it on top. Well, first you draw, then you put it on top. And so then you use Malkuth-Melekh's ability to deal yourself damage after calling 3. Malkuth Aider is there, you ride that, and then you got the playoff. So really helpful. 4 copies, the draw PG makes it a lot easier to play. You might be wondering, why is the one, because this is done with grade 1s now, you might be wondering why the one card Black Kalnakir, I think it is why it's not in the deck. I don't like that card not being in a non-Gavriel deck. If you know me well, it bothers me to combine anything I consider a remote archetype. Black I consider an archetype. Arc Aiders I consider an archetype in anything that supports them, such as this. It doesn't necessarily support Arc Aiders, but it's just Malkuth-Melekh, which is an Arc Aider. So things like that I like to keep separate, which is why Black Kalnakir is not in the deck, and why Black, whatever I think it is called, Jackafil is not in the deck, and some people run the other grade 2 that's Soul Blast 1 to heal a card. That's why that's not in the deck, because those do not fit the deck's archetype, in my opinion. So even though I know and I recognize that they are good cards and they would help the deck consistency, that's not something I'm comfortable doing. So you can do what you want to your comfortable ability. I do what I want to my comfortable ability, and that's just how this works. On to grade 2s. Aidroid Zion. 9k base, 5k shield, continuous rear, ban or rear. During your turn, if a new card is put into your opponent's damage zone, this unit gets plus 10k power. This is really fun. It's a 19k base. Also, I forgot to mention, this is one of my friend's favorite cards to hate. It is his arch enemy. And here's the reason why. Auto rear guard. When it attacks a vanguard, choose an opponent's rear guard, and you may put it into their damage zone. If you do, your opponent heals a card until at the end of the battle, retire it. Here's why he hates it. Because it's a guaranteed 19k base, because I can pick whatever rear guard I want, put it to their damage, and they gotta heal it. They always have some important rear guard to them that I constantly send to damage because it doesn't have resist or cannot be chosen by effects. So I constantly shove it to damage, and they have to heal something. And I love doing this to his Dark Irregular deck because he always only has one left in the deck, and that would be the one that I'm currently sending to damage because every other copy is in his soul. And then he can no longer use the card. And then when he wants revenge by killing it himself, he cannot because it dies at the end of the battle that I use the skill. That is the reason why he hates this card, and it is the reason why it is at 4, but also because I actually like it and it looks cool. So back to actually why it's here. It does something useful. It gets rid of your opponent's cards, and it also adds power, so it's a guaranteed hit unless they pull a trigger this turn or they have some form of a special effect. So that's really nice. So 4 copies. 4 copies of Amputation Angel. 9k base. Continuous rearguard circle. If you have a protect marker in the same column, it gets plus 15k power. That is during both players' turn, and that is extremely helpful. In the deck where you can get 2 protect 2s or protect markers in general, never, ever, ever pick protect 1 in this deck. If you do, I will find you and I will backhand you for even thinking about it. Unless they change the rules where you can put protect 1 on the rearguard circles, I will backhand you for it. But that's really helpful because you can get 2 protect gifts a turn, so you can put 1 on this circle and then 1 in Secto Angel, because I like to call Secto Angel behind this thing. All they have to do is be in the same column as each other with the protect marker. It doesn't have to be on both of them for their abilities to go off. It only needs to be on one of them or just in the same column in general. But that's still helpful because that's a 15k base during both players' turns, so that's a 24k. It takes so much to get rid of that, and it's already like 1 attack with a boost to some form of extent on it just to get rid of it. With a protect 2 on it, it's a 29k base, and it just gets extra shield when intercepting. And then also continuous rear guard during the battle that it attacked. If there are 3 more protect markers on your circle, your opponent can't call Sentinels from hand. That is useful because, like I said, you can get 2 protect 2s in this deck a turn. So all you need is 2 grade 3 turns, and you got the 4 gifts that you need. And this thing swings for, the highest number I can pull out off the top of my head that I remember is 79. It was in the 70s. I'm going to say 73 because I think it was closer to 73. 73k. I know it had 3 crits on it because I pulled 2 crits that turn. I gave them both to it with no Sentinels, and they're at 5 damage, and they got 3 cards in hand. That means they can't guard that unless they got 3 heals, which actually wouldn't be enough unless they were at grade 3. Unless they were on a Force deck. So that's really helpful. So 4 copies. It's just a nice card to beat the shit out of your opponent with, and something you always want to call back when you intercept with it, or like they try to kill it if they can kill it. And then 4 copies of Holy Road Angel, the Lord Angel, that was his Japanese name. 9k base, 5k shield, auto Vanguard or Rearguard. When placed, look at top 7 cards of your deck, reveal to 1 Malkuth-Melekh and its card name from among them and put it into your hand. Shuffle your deck, reveal to 1 normal unit from your hand and put it at the top of your deck. It's only once per turn ability. It's a named once per turn, so you can't just go call it, use the skill, do it again because you failed the first time to put Selfieith on top, and then look at top 7, find a Selfieith, put it on top again. No, you can't do that. It's a named once per turn. So that's really helpful, though. It can search for your grade 3. It can search for top 7, which is honestly a lot more useful to Nakir than me. Also, it can put it back. So, and you don't have to discard for it because it just says reveal up to 1, which is technically the discard. And you don't have to do it. You could just reveal nothing. If you can't use the combo, there's no point in revealing something. But it's still helpful because you can search for a Malkuth, then you can put it on top, or you can put a Malkuth that you had in hand previously, like Selfie Theater, because that's the one you want on top of the deck, and then you just keep doing plays. Or, if you want to do the fun play that I did the one time I could test this deck, you just want to reveal a random normal unit and shove it at the top, and they block it because they know there's only going to be 1 trigger, and they're like one to pass on it, and you bank it on seeing that 1 trigger, and it works, and they regret ever doing it. It's very funny because it can play mind games with your opponent, which is another reason why I like it. If you know me, I like to play mind games sometimes, and this is a card I can play mind games with. So 4 copies. On to grade 3s. This one, not a lot of people run. I understand why. It costs Counterblast. It doesn't really have a purpose here, and I could have used it for something else. But like I said before, the only other cards I would possibly consider putting this in for is Bell. I forgot what his name is, but basically shove it to soul, pick a card from hand, and swap it with something in damage. Kind of like the Underlay Celestial Hedaseal, but it doesn't cost a Counterblast. It just costs it shoving to soul. So either way, it could have gone to that, but I still like this because there are cases where you might not see your amputation in Secto Angels, so you can benefit off this because it's Proceed Chief Jamajel. I probably said that wrong. 12k base. It does have a Protect gift. If you have to ride this, it is not the end of the world. But I would not ride it. The one time, like I said before, I only tested this deck out once, and I literally discarded it from my mulligan. I got rid of it from my mulligan. It came back. I discarded it the second I got the chance, because I would rather G-assist than ride this. Especially on first turn ride. So, anyways, skill, auto Vanguard or Rearguard. When placed from hand, Counterblast 1, look at top 7, reveal to the same number of this thing, Amputation Angels, or Secto Angels from among them as your protect markers on your circles and or in... Nope, it has to be on your circles, and you put them into your hand and shuffle your deck. So, that can be really useful. You should never search for this thing unless it's the only thing that pops up and you just want to keep doing loops. But get your Amputation Angels, get your Secto Angels out of deck, call them down the board, and you get skills off. And, it can't be placed from drop in the skill go off, unfortunately, but it can be helpful if you need to search your pieces. You can ride it at first grade 3 turn if you want. Like I said, I discarded it. I refuse to ride a backup grade 3 willingly. That's just how I am. So technically there is no point in there ever being backup grade 3s in my decks. But, if the situation calls for it, you might need them. But I will never ride them willingly without a fight to the death. So 2 copies. Now, on to the grade 3 that avoided me 90% of that match, and if it did not show up when it did, I would have lost. Archader Malkuth-Melekh. By the way, just so I can put more clarity on that was an anime top deck when I did it, because like I said, I had to G-assist for it, but the top 5, because I remember this order, was Draw PG, what was it called? Persistence Angel, Critical Trigger, Zion, then this thing. I will always remember that because I remember it like it was an anime top deck to more or less. So 12k base, it does have a protect gift. I like its skill. Auto Vanguard Auto Vanguard when placed. Counterblast 2, and if your opponent's Vanguard's at grade 2, you deal them a damage. If they're at grade 3, you heal a card. So there is one weakness to this. If your opponent's at grade 1 or less, it does not go off. Or if they're at grade 4, it does not go off. Oh no, never mind. It just only activates with their grade 1 or less. So if they're grade 3, grade 4, or grade 2, its ability goes off. If they're at grade 1 or less, which means they're grade locked, then it's not going to go off, so there's no point in wasting the counterblast. Thankfully, if it has a cost, it is optional. But, getting that free heal is always helpful because it acts as a counter charge, or you can just burn your opponent to damage, which is always nice. And then active Vanguard Circle. Once per turn, Soul Blast 1 and call 3 cards from your drop zone, not the top 3 cards of your drop zone, to rear guard. 3 of your front row units get plus 5k power at the end of turn. I can't talk today. And deal yourself 1 damage and perform a damage check. So, that is an act ability. This is the way it's worded is the reason why this deck is not as consistent as other builds are. Because with other builds, you can stack the top card easier because you probably have a black Jackafil in hand where you can kind of get back Persistence Angel from damage check something, who cares what it is. If you damage check a Self-Thief Aider normally, that's really funny because it's a free heal that your opponent doesn't anticipate. But you call Persistence down, then you use its skill to get your loop on. But this deck isn't as consistent because you got to do a Holy Road first, or you have to do a Persistence Angel first, which you would normally do anyways. But still really good, and you also do yourself a damage. So that's where the Self-Thief Aider comes in. And you may be wondering, why is it so important that you damage check Self-Thief? Here's why. Self-Thief Aider, Shin Malkuth-Melekh. 12k base, it does also have a Protect gift. Although when revealed for a damage check during either player's turn, if your Vanguard's an Arcade or Malkuth-Melekh, it cannot be this, it has to be the other one. Discard a card from your hand and write it as stand. So that's really helpful. If you do it during your turn, you do not get extra drives out of it, unfortunately, unless you can find a way to damage check during battle phase. God, I just remember something for premium that I will always regret. Well, you can do this during premium, so if you want to, you can. But either way, you basically can get a free ride out of it, you get a free heal out of it, and all you have to do is pay a discard cost. So say you're at 6 damage, because I feel like this would go off at 6 damage. You're at 6 damage when you damage check this, not after, not before. When you damage check this, you go to 6. Because it was revealed for a damage check. You discard it, you ride it, you get a Protect 2 on something that has Intercept. You get a free heal, and now your opponent can't kill you because of Zed Protect 2 on that Interceptor. That's why I like it, but it's mainly used for aggressive tactics. If you want to play a mind game with your opponent and stack it like that, you can. I don't think you can do that in Standard, but I know as hell you can do that in Premium if you play it right. But its other abilities, Continuous Vanguard Circle. During your turn, if you have 2 or more Protect markers on your circles, all of your front row units get plus 10k power. So that's really helpful. This is a 22k base. Amputation straight up, if you have a Protect gift in its column, not counting on its own, that would be a 34k base, which is just all around helpful. And you can just hit for big ass numbers if you got 2 amputation angels on both sides. Let's just say both of them have a Protect marker, so they're both hitting for 39. You got Sectos in the back row, so they're at 13. The 13 plus the 34s, that's 47. But at the same time, your opponent can't use Sentinels on them. You draft check crits. It's a crit party, baby. And then Continuous Vanguard, all of your units on your rear guards with Protect markers on them cannot be retired by any player's effects. So that's good. Angel Feather does not retire its own rear guards to effects, to my knowledge. There might be 1 or 2 cards in Premium. There might be something in Standard, but I'm not so sure. But that means they can't target it by Kagero. So stuff like Amputation Angel that would normally be targetable, they cannot do it with Kagero. Vanquisher or anything from Narukami gets over this immediately because they just bind them. This only prevents retiring. But that's still helpful. It can protect your rear guards that you need to keep protected. They get power. It can possibly technically count as a miracle heal. So to some form of an extent, you are having 8 heals, which is always nice to have. And you can stack it at the top via Persistence Angel, Holy Road, and that's it. Some other builds, you can stack it at the top. Well, those are the only cards that can't stack it at the top, but other cards make it easier to get it back in hand. And then also, you have to find a way to get this into your drop zone, which is why people run the black grade 2 that can Soul Blast. Because you Soul Blast it, then you get it back from drop of something else. So, if you want to run cards like that, you can. Me personally, I don't feel comfortable doing so, but you can if you want. And also, if you want to know how this deck would work at its best, call this thing Pray to the Gods that it pays out and that you see a Cellophith, use this one first. Pray to God that you see a Cellophith from it, shove it at the top, use Arc-Gator, then do the loop, make sure that there's a persistence on your board or drop when you do this. Ride the Cellophith after taking your damage, use this thing skill to Soul Blast Zed Malkuth, draw a card, put the Malkuth that you just put into drop at the top of your deck, and now you got your Malkuth back. So it is harder to loop this, but in my personal opinion, it's a lot better because otherwise everything's just going to be the same term regardless of something that doesn't really matter because you're just looping the same thing. At least with this build, it's kind of luck-based, and that's what I like about it. It can go either luck-based or skill-based, and I want it to be luck-based because it's not going to be the exact same thing every turn. Hopefully, more or less. So, on to the gifts. 10 Protect 1s, 10 Protect 2s. Never pick Protect 1. I swear to God, if you pick Protect 1, I will backhand you, and I am not joking about that. So, you do not need Protect 1, but I'm just saying, if for some reason you pick Protect 1, you gotta run the same amount that you pick Protect 2. With this deck, 10 gifts is not unreasonable. This is basically the Valkyriana Protect gifts. Then again, that would technically go to Witches, all things considered, but my point still stands. The Protect 1 is just a straight up PG, while the Protect 2, it gives 5k to a rear guard circle that it's on, and it gives it plus 10k shield when it intercepts, and it does stack. So like say you gave 2 of them to Secto Angel, that will put its shield at 30k, which is amazing. And then we got the Quick Shield, which is basically the when your unit is attacked, it gets plus 5k power to end of battle. I will never understand why it doesn't give shield and why it's not an actual shield instead of power, but you know, that's just how it is. Well, that was a deck. I find the deck fun the way I built it. I don't like other builds because it's kind of too predictable. Yes, this deck is also predictable, but it's more based on luck and slightly harder to pull off, so it is harder to use in skill, which is why I like it a lot. It's not going to be the same thing every turn. It's going to be something different. You're going to have different plays every turn. It's not going to be someone riding an Arc-Gator from hand, Soul Blasting one. Well, not Soul Blasting one immediately, but maybe using a Persistence, Soul Blasting, getting the Cellophith at top, and then using all the same skills over and over and over again. At least here it will be luck-based. So, that was the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed. You can do this build, you can do anyone else's build, or you can do your own build, the combination of the two combined, or do whatever you want. That's just how it is. Everyone has their own preferences. This is mine. So, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I have a Discord, so if you want to join the Discord, you can possibly get early videos on stuff, depending on if I figure out how to do it. There is a Twitch, and that's pretty much it. So don't forget to donate to the Patreon, and I'll see you all next one. Don't forget to stand up your vanguards.